Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Today's the gear list video. We got some new stuff last year I want to share with you guys. I'm not going to go as in-depth with everything as I did last year, so click here if you haven't seen last year's video. Today, we're just going to quickly go over everything I got, why I have it, and if I recommend it or not. The most important part of this video will be the description. In the description will be timestamps for everything. So if you just want to hear about the auger that I use, go ahead and click on the time below. It'll take you straight there, and you can just see what I use for an auger, or a shack, or a pole, whatever you want to see. If you want to see something specific, in the timestamps below. Also in the description will be links to almost everything. Everything and anything I can find a link for on Amazon will be in the description below as well. You can click that and it'll take you right to the products that I talk about today. So without further ado, let's just hop into it and let's start with something awesome, the electronics that we're using. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start off with electronics, probably the most important one, with something that's obvious but needs to be explained, and that is the Navionics app. The Navionics app is my favorite. It's $14.99 for the year for the HD maps. I'd be lost without it. It's probably the second most important electronic you can have behind a Vexilar or some other form of sonar. So Navionics app, you can download maps, so if you don't have service, you can still see the lake, you can still save your GPS pins and markers for everything, and then you can always go back to them and use them. So next, I'm gonna go right here, and I have an FL18 in the Pro Pack version. So it came with the battery and depth indicator, it came with a rod holder, and this one, luckily, came with a ProView transducer. This ProView transducer is technically a tri-beam, but don't get it confused with Vexilar's other tri-beam where you can actually select what beam you want. This one is controlled by the gain, so as you turn the gain up, the beam widens. Has its pros and cons, but what I can tell you is without a doubt, mine functions much better than everyone else's FL18s around me. All the other FL18s that have either the 9 or the 12 degree transducers seem to struggle with interference, or you know how you get that rotating ring, or sometimes the bottom shifts. Mine never seems to be that. Mine's usually the outlier in the shack that's running perfectly on a low gain. It still picks up everything. Absolutely worth every penny if you can find this ProView transducer. Being able to have that bottom 5 feet locked on the left side of your monitor is so important, especially when you're fishing walleyes or if you're fishing for perch. Anything that's tight to the bottom, having that bottom 5 feet over here is extremely important. So no matter what brand you're looking for, no matter what you're trying to find, if you got that bottom lock, auto zoom, or whatever they title their feature on whatever brand, it's very important that you have it. Other than that, if you have $1,600, Live Scope exists. So Garmin Live Scope will blow this out of the water. It's almost like cheating. I know Lowrance has come out with one, and I believe there's a third company that's come out with some sort of live imaging. If you can go get a live imaging, that's what I would do. If you have the money, go do it. It'll be worth every penny. I know they're a little more cumbersome than this, because the transducers are on poles and stuff, but if you're out on the lake and you want to catch crappies, man, you can't beat the live imaging stuff. So leave this video right now. If you're looking for a Garmin, go find some other videos. I have a link to one on Amazon you can click on, but either way, that's what I would do. And finally, we're going to wrap up the electronics here with a new purchase from last year. We have the AquaView Revolution 5.0. Now, I've always kind of wanted some sort of camera, but I've always hated the big packs. Like, I already have this. I don't want one that's sometimes double the size, like the Markham ones with like 7-inch screens. I didn't want anything like that. Now, if I had a permanent shack, I would definitely get something like that, and it would just be in a cabinet, you drop it down the hole, that's fine. But as for a portable option, I wanted something like this. This is absolutely perfect. So let me move this a little bit. This AquaView Micro Revolution 5.0 was the perfect size, but my favorite part and the thing that we really look for, so let's do this. You guys can see what we got going on here. But my favorite, absolute #1 reason I got this is this back here. Having this reel feature up and down. Oh, this is a lifesaver here. I absolutely love being able to reel this camera back up, toss it back on the sled, keep moving. It also has a tripod mount, but I will tell you that kind of sucks because the tripod that I have for it, you have to take it off to reel it up and reel it down. Because as you can see here, hopefully, that's really close to where the tripod mounts to. So either way, I highly recommend this, especially if you're looking for just a very compact, easy to use, quick, fast, and in a hurry camera. I don't think you can beat this for the price. We looked around for a long time, almost all year last year. We looked around for something, and finally we landed on this. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up our electronics. Let's move on to some quick, fast, in a hurry things that don't need any explanation, shall we? All right, for the speed round, we got some things here. This Rapala tape is amazing. Retractable ruler, absolutely love it. Very compact and very heavy duty. You can hook the end on something for those bigger fish. I don't even remember what this goes to. Let's find out. 60 inches is the max. Next, this little compact clam shovel is perfect. It collapses down with a couple buttons here on the side. It's just big enough to cover the shack enough without making it too much work, but also it's small enough to just toss in a 5-gallon pail. So, clam shovel. You probably find something cheaper to make something, but regardless, this thing has been awesome. The live well bags, also by Clam, absolutely love them when you're fishing for crappies. You can keep these down in the hole. I have the 8-inch hole version, but quick pro tip, take yourself some sort of weight, drop it in the bottom so that when you're pulling it up and down, it falls a lot quicker through that hole. I just use the bottom of a metal dipper, cut it off, ground it off so it doesn't cut the rubberized netting here or anything, but it's just enough weight to drop it down in the hole that much faster, and when you're done with the night, you unzip it, you're good to go. Absolutely love this Clam live well. For a minnow bucket, you can't beat cooler if you ask me. I bought just a cheap bubbler from Walmart. I don't even know what brand it is. It is a Frabill brand. Screwed it into the top here, and then you have and then you got your minnow cooler. Absolutely love it. You can buy these pre-made these days. The one I got sucked. It was a Frabill version, but the bubbler didn't like to stay on. It leaked where the hose went in. The clips on the front sucked. So there are some other versions of this, but you can make it at home with an old cooler, buy on a bubbler. I have some Velcro right here. I don't have my needle nose, but my jaw spreaders and a little tape measure, they stay right here on the front of it. This little Velcro with a screw. So homemade minnow bucket, definitely a way to go if you ask me. Otherwise, there's a bunch of brands of these pre-made these days that are probably good. I will not recommend the Frabill one though. Last item of this quick round is this rod holder from Eagle Claw, also a Walmart purchase. Absolutely love this thing. Very heavy duty, and it also has tons of room for everything. So right now it's a super mess, but it holds all my rods for the iFish Pros plus our jigging rods, and also has storage for extra line, a couple extra bait pack things, all that stuff. These foam inserts move around. Absolutely love it. It's been great. You just gotta be careful when you're opening and closing not to break a rod, but overall, absolutely love it. Second year I've had this, it's been great. All right, so this looks a little different because this is the third time I'm trying to film this section. Everything's out of focus. Not sure why. So we're here a couple days later and we're gonna talk about fishing poles. But before I get into all the details of what I enjoy, what I use, what I recommend, I wanna take 1 second to just kind of put it in perspective. You know, this is even a newer model. You know, the old one's just the 2 posts, the line wrapped around it. You know, this is where we all grew up. This is what we came from. when I'm sitting here and I'm talking about all this gear and equipment, just know that, just think about the memories he had with this and realize that it's not as important as it seems. There's definitely benefits to everything, and obviously I'm not dismissing the technological advances and how far we've come in such a short period of time, but before I get into this, I just wanted to just put us back in reality for a second. You know, how much fun, how many fish you caught, and where we came from is important. So just remember, when you're talking about all this equipment, everything we're buying, and you know, at the end of the day, you're just putting some line down a hole and hoping a fish bites on the other end. It doesn't take too much to accomplish that. We did it forever, and we did it well. So just a quick reminder of where we came from, right? All right, so this is what I use. This is my favorite setup. It is a 27-inch medium light tickle stick from 1-3 Fishing or 13 Fishing, paired with a Black Betty reel. I absolutely love this setup. If you're getting a Black Betty reel, or any inline reel for that matter, like this one here, you know, the Cold Gear Ice by number 8 Tackle, I believe. This works just as well. It's just slightly different features, but one thing I must say about inline reels, if you haven't gotten into them already, look for something like this. The new Black Betties have what they're calling a performance window. It's to keep the line on the reel, because like this Cold Gear Ice, it works, it's great, it's cheap, I love it. I have like 3 of them, but the line will tend to jump outside that reel sometimes and then wrap up on the nut, and you gotta take it apart to fix it. That does happen. It's something to look out for. And like I said, that's just a tip for any inline reel you're gonna buy whatsoever. It doesn't have to be Black Betty. There's tons of brands out there, tons of versions of inline reels. You just gotta watch out for the space between the body and the spool, and how big it is, and pay attention to that. If it's too big, the line's gonna jump from time to time. It's just the way it is. So why I recommend this package so much, and really with anything, even if you don't want a tickle stick or 13 Fishing, you want your brand, just try to find something that's average for everything. This isn't the best pan fishing rod. I think this one is. It's not the best walleye rod. Something much heavier and longer would be the best walleye rod. But if you only want to get one thing and just carry one thing at all times, I think this is a perfect package. 27-inch medium light, like I said. The tip is sensitive enough to catch those crappies that are barely biting and just pushing the bait up, and those little perch on the bottom. It's light enough and sensitive enough for that. But also the backbone is strong enough to pull up some pretty good walleye. I caught my biggest walleye ever on this exact rod right here. I think that'll wrap up the rod section pretty quick, because at the end of the day, I mean, I could talk about all the different styles and types and spinning versus inline and all that, but my brain recently, while I've been editing this gear video and everything, has just reminded me of how ridiculous this all is when you think about where we came from. So my best memories are out on the ice with one of these, hand lining as a kid. So, you know, you just gotta remember where we're at in today's like advances, and just think about what it actually takes to catch a fish. What's actually important. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing, which is our tip-up systems. So here we are, my favorite tip-up system, and I have to say system because there's a lot of new ones out there. There's Jawjackers, there's these iFish Pros, there's, you know, homemade versions of all this stuff. And then you obviously have, you know, still the old Beaver Dam wooden tip-ups, which work great. Thing that always bothered me, and the reason I have replaced all my tip-ups with iFish Pros, the convenience of wrapping up at the end of the night. If there's one reason to switch away from, you know, standard tip-ups, it's the ease of just reeling up a pole at the end of the night and hooking it, and that's your wrap-up. You never have to worry about tangles or anything crazy like that, because I know time after time when we used to run, you know, normal old tip-ups, when you're wrapping up in that 0-degree weather, at the end, your hands are wet. How many times have you spent the next day untangling everything when you're done for the night? I know I do it a ton, but it is what it is. But that's the biggest reason I switched to iFish Pros. The second biggest reason is it's just a lot of fun to fight those big fish on a rod and reel setup rather than hand lining a tip up. One thing I will recommend is make sure to look out for the 2.0. So this is an iFish Pro 2.0. It comes insulated. I have the original ones, and I just took a whole cover, cut it out to fit, and hot glued it in the bottom. That worked great as well, but in general, I would just say make sure to try to get yourself a 2.0. I'm not even going to recommend a specific rod to use with these. The jury's still out. But if you want to see more about the iFish Pro, how to set it up, all that, I have an entire review video I did a couple years ago. Click here to see that, and you can get all the details. But I love them. I think the ease of use and just saving your hands at the end of the night when you're packing up just makes for a better overall experience, as well as fighting those fish on a rod and reel setup is just so much fun. So that will do it for what I had to refilm. Let's head back to the gear list video for the rest of the stuff that I have to talk about. All right, and now we have reached the most controversial topic on the internet: what you use for an ice auger. Oh man, the competition between what kind of drill you use, what kind of auger you use. I mean, the arguments for all of them, they all have their pros and cons. They all have their ups, their downs, their positives, their negatives, their prices. How far we've come in so little time is absolutely incredible. And we should be celebrating the fact that there's all this competition in the space. Now, my specific setup, I will tell you the pros and cons of it and why I chose it over others. Feel free to comment your opinions below. So we're gonna start right here with my drill. It's a Ryobi P251. It is a hammer drill. It is the minimum torque spec of 750 inch-pounds of torque. That is what the minimum is that K-Drill recommends. And it's lasted for 3 years now. 3-ish years, yeah, 3 full years now. So for Ryobi specifically, these brushless drills and all their brushless tools, they work with any battery that you have, but they have these HP Plus batteries. These HP Plus batteries are an absolute necessity if you're going to be using your drill as an ice auger for Ryobi. This is a 9 amp hour HP Plus. The HP Plus delivers the peak torque to this drill. This battery will never get this torque to its 750 inch-pounds rating that it has. You have to have these HP Plus batteries. They have extra pins on the back. So they have all the normal pins around the top, but they have these extra pins here, and the brushless tools can take advantage of those extra pins to deliver extra power. So keep that in mind if you're using Ryobi specifically for your auger setup. Now let's get to the clam plate. This clam plate is absolutely overkill. It's unnecessary, but I absolutely love it. And if you're willing to spend the 60, I think this is $60, it might be 80. I think it's worth it if you're just adding on to a setup already. Being able to keep your drill up out of the ice and snow all the time by being able to set it handle down in that ice and snow. You never have to worry about your drill getting wet or damaged. All right, K-Drill. Why did I go with the K-Drill? Right here, chipper blades. I have not thought about these blades for 1 second for the 3 years that I've owned this. They will last so much longer than shaver blades, and they also have a lifetime guarantee as well, so I mean that's a positive as well. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. I've done too many videos on this. If you don't ever wanna have to think about your blades, chipper's the way to go. It doesn't have to be a K-Drill, but I'd pay attention to it. That is my auger setup, as quickly as I can talk about it. I don't even have it put together yet because I was literally just using this drill yesterday in the house. So I gotta put my auger back together. But there is one last thing that I want to talk about real quick, just to mention it, and then we'll be done. And the final thing I want to mention is Eskimo Escape 2600. I just did a 1-year review video on this. Go ahead and click here to see that. My original modifications video, click here to see that. Tell you what, zero regrets there. So that's about it. I think that's all the gear, all the fishing gear that I have that I want to talk about. There's a lot of things to do with fishing that can be spoken upon, elaborated on. There's a million different opinions out there on the internet. These are just my humble opinions over the last 4 years of experience. And man, when you just stop to think about it for a second and just think about where we started when we were kids to where the industry's at now, it's not that important, you know? Just string on 2 hooks on the end of a stick. To today, I'm trying to tell you that this 27-inch medium light is the best. Like, I mean, come on. Either way, you're going to get out there, you're going to catch some fish. And at the end of the day, hanging out with friends and family is what it's all about. So regardless of your opinions on products or brand names, let's just remember to get out on the lake and enjoy our time. Like I said, all the links for everything, all the products are in the description below. But that is going to wrap it up. Enough rambling. This video is probably already long enough as it is. So make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you on the ice.